It's time for the Brew and Shavers Sports Podcast.
Back for a second week, we have Doug the Buckeye once again extolling the virtues of the Big Ten.
That's right.
Which are rapidly disappearing in some cases. But nevertheless, here's Doug with this week's segment.
Hey there, it's Doug the Buckeye again, coming to you again from Oklahoma City. Glad to be back. Appreciate you guys having me back. Just want to open up. I know last week we talked a little bit about, you guys gave me a little bit of grief about being biased, but I noticed the intro to your podcast is talking about the best conference in sports, supposedly the SEC. Well, that's debatable, and that's why I'm here. It's just real interesting that you open your podcast with that, and then you give me grief about being biased. And Ben's over there with his LSU gear. One thing I wanted to let Ben know is, most of the rest of the country, we know where the 5-yard line is on our fields. We don't have to mark it. So, just something to point out there. Hey, you brought me on to talk about why the Big Ten needs to have two teams in the playoffs. And you started giving me grief and rubbing it in that we lost by a field goal in the game last year against Georgia. When you bring that up, unwittingly what you do is you say if you only lose by a field goal, or in this instance to Georgia by 1 point, you're actually proving the point that the teams need to be there. Big Ten sent two teams to the playoffs last year. Between the two teams, they didn't come out with a win, but between the two teams, the total loss was 7 points. So that proves, I think, that both the Big Ten teams needed to be there last year. High-powered offense. I talked a little bit about that last week. You gave me some grief. Yeah, wasn't talking about Iowa, but of course you guys aren't talking about Vanderbilt either. So I was talking more specifically about a player named Marvin Harrison Jr. You might have noticed that he had 3 touchdowns, 168 yards, total yards on Saturday. Touted as one of the best players in the country, so that's something to think about as we go into playoff time. Michigan took care of business last week. I know there's some stuff going on up there. Again, not too biased here, but I'm fine if Michigan loses every single game for the rest of history. And, their coach is in trouble. I haven't followed it a whole lot, but one of the things I want to say is I'm fine if every coach that's ever coached for Michigan goes to prison, because I'm sure they did something wrong. But again, I'm not biased. Good talking to you guys. Good being here. Hope there's a good week. I just wanted to remind you also, 2 weeks in a row, Ohio State ranked number 1. So just keep that in mind as we're going forward. Noticed also that Big Ten has 2 teams in the top 3. SEC doesn't. Hope you guys are doing well. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.
That is fantastic. He absolutely brought the thunder. That was so well done.
Doug. Let's talk about the best conference. Because I'm not sure it's up for debate, because at the end of the day, you judge it by national championships. So let's go down memory lane and talk about the college football playoff in its current incarnation.
I feel like we're going to enjoy this trip down memory lane. Go right ahead.
I'll read off the national champion by year. 2022, Georgia. Which conference, Darren?
That's SEC. It's one for the SEC.
2021, Georgia.
Wow, here, I'll do this too.
2020, Alabama.
That's 3.
2019. Give me a moment. LSU.
Oh, that's 4.
2018, Clemson. Nah.
Yeah.
2017, Alabama.
5.
2016, Clemson.
Oh, look, 6. Nope, not 6 yet.
2015, Alabama.
6. There we go.
2014, Ohio State.
Oh, so they have won a national championship. That was 9 years ago, but okay.
Hmm. In the SEC, we don't count moral victories. We don't
That's right.
celebrate, oh, we got 2 teams in the playoff. We celebrate national championships here in the
That's
SEC
exactly right.
because the bar is set higher because it just means more.
Yep. That's right. Well said, by the way.
Now, I want to talk about the 5-yard line dig. You know why LSU paints the 5-yard line? So Ohio State fans will ask about it and we can make fun of you. I don't know. I read that on a message board today. If
That's
you
funny.
care enough, it goes back to 1946. The play-by-play announcer asked that they do that, and it just kind of became tradition. So that's the official story.
That's awesome.
But Darren, let's talk a little bit about the preemptive strike he made against your team.
Oh, that is just shots fired. And you're right, Doug. Now, I will say this. You're right. We didn't bring up Vanderbilt because they stink, but they're still, you don't have to point it out. That's just being ugly. That's just piling on. And I would tell you that it doesn't matter. You can say it, but Vanderbilt will beat Iowa. But I don't have that confidence this year. So I don't. But I will give him props for absolutely taking the shot. And you know what? He's not wrong. But that's all right, because you know what? I can still say Vanderbilt's a part of the SEC. And how many championships was that? Yeah, Vanderbilt may not have won them, but still a strong conference. I can at least say that, right?
Darren, I'm a big proponent in that even people who disagree vociferously can find common ground somewhere.
That's right.
We can go down to Bahama Bob's and Gulf Shores and sit down with some Alabama fans and have a nice meal together and spend some good time, quality time together.
That's right.
With Doug the Buckeye, we actually found some common ground because, Doug, we completely agree with you. We are
Yes, we do.
and never wins another football game. I'm not sure we would go as far as you in saying that you wish every Michigan coach would go to prison. I'm not sure we'd go that far, but we agree with the sentiment.
And can I say again, I give him props because he did at least provide his reasoning behind it. I'm okay if they all go to jail because they probably did something wrong. He at least threw in his reasoning. So you're right.
I was surprised he actually used the name Michigan. Often Ohio State fans will talk about the school up north.
Exactly. But you're
thank
right.
you for Doug.
We did at least find that common ground. We did. Now the other stuff, way off, but we at least found that common ground.
I've got hope that one day, as Hank Williams used to say, he'll see the light.
Well done.
So thank you, Doug the Buckeye, for those segments. We look forward to those every week.
Well, maybe not as much now as you took a shot at Vanderbilt, but still, yeah.
Quit your whining, as Alabama fans would say.
That's right. That might have been the nicest thing that was said to us by Alabama fans.